Alright, hi. I'm in a different part of my house tonight. So if the color's bad or the audio's bad, I apologize. We're in Module 4. This is a great module for Thanksgiving week for a couple of reasons. One, it's about blogs. We're starting to get into the tools, the individual tools for social media. And blogs are where it all started. So that's where we'll start. It's a great one for Thanksgiving week because you may have some time to just kind of shop around online and look at different blogs and search and explore. And the assignments for this particular module are really wide open. It's whatever makes sense to you. I'm going to break it down into 3 categories. So the first is just what are blogs and how you can subscribe to blogs, explore blogs, be a consumer of blogs. The second part will be about classroom blogs or school blogs. And if you are a person that posts information for your school district or for your school, this applies to you as well. And then the third category is educational blogs. So those might be your educational thinkers, people that are sharing new initiatives and ideas, challenging ideas, really putting themselves out there in different ways. So we'll break this into 3 different parts, and the assignment will have 3 different parts, and you choose whatever makes sense to you. You can even self-design the assignment if something fits more for your personal needs. So let's start with what is a blog. If you search what is a blog, it will tell you it's a regularly updated website or web page, often with informal language and content and things like that. So essentially, if you have any sort of role where you are putting information up on a regular basis, you're a blogger. Congratulations. And blogs used to be the primary mode of social media. So it was a place, it was the landing zone. It was where everything went and then things went out from there. But now it's kind of changed and shifted a little bit, and blogging is much different, but still very valuable, a very impressive part of your social media repertoire. So blogs are essentially websites that people put their content on and share from, and it's kind of their landing page, it's their dashboard. A lot of educational folks have blogs that have blossomed into resources that you might follow, and even personal things that you might be interested in, gardening, cooking, sports, athletics. There's going to be tons and tons of blogs that you can follow. So if you are a part 1 person, that means that you're just starting out and you want to explore blogs, your assignment's really simple. You're going to go out and try and find some blogs to follow, and by follow what I mean is subscribe to them. So on each blog you'll have an opportunity to subscribe by entering your email, and then their posts will show up directly in your email. If that's not something you want to do, that's fine. Just check out those blogs, make note of them, and you can go back and check them out every day. There are other tools that you can use to follow blogs. So things like Flipboard, you'd search for that in your app section, or Medium. Medium is a place that kind of hosts blogs, but you can also subscribe to many different people. So you go to medium.com and check those out. A bunch of different ways that you can follow blogs. Whatever works for you. So in part 1, the assignment is follow some blogs. So part 2, classroom or school blogs. So like I said a while ago, I might have told you that blogs should be the center of your universe. And in a way, they're still very, very valuable, particularly for schools and classrooms. They are the universal place where people can go and get information about what's going on in your classroom or your school. So regardless of being on Twitter or not, or Facebook or not, or Instagram or not, they can go to this one place and they can share. Now, if you have a classroom blog already, great. We're going to talk about some things that you can do to update that blog. And if you don't have a classroom or school blog yet and you want to create one, take note of some of these things. So here are some tips for your classroom or school blog. Number 1, from your blog, so if you use Blogger, for example, a lot of you are Google Apps schools and you have a Blogger account connected to your email account. It's perfect for this application. So if you have a Blogger account, you can follow other people's blogs. I would follow people in your school or your school. So if your school has a blog, you could follow that. And the reason that this is handy is particularly if you're running a school site, a school blog, you can follow your teachers' blog posts and reshare them on your blog. That way you're not having to create all the content all the time, and you can also reshare the great stuff that's going on in your school or your building. Or if you're on a team, this also would be a handy tip. Number 2, be consistent. So get used to a format, a structure, something that works, and stick with it. Don't get too wild and crazy on your blog. This is a classroom blog or a school blog. Keep it pretty consistent so people understand what it looks like. You've got a subject, make sure you always use that. You've got a photo of some sort, and you've got your text and links and things like that. So make sure that you're consistent. Use VTED or your own hashtag in the title. So when you put a subject or a title in a blog post, put VTED or put your own hashtag. Maybe your school has its own hashtag. A lot of schools have their own hashtag. Do that in the subject line. That'll make sense later when we connect your blogs to other social media things. Have a plan for letting people know to subscribe. So if you're still doing a paper newsletter, or if you have notifications that go home another way, let people know that they can subscribe to your blog. It's important. Don't assume that they will find it. Let people know, and do it more than once. Remind them more than once. Make sure your comment settings are on point. So comments are great. You don't want to discourage them, but maybe you want to moderate them. So in the settings, you can often go there and say moderate, and that just means that the comment gets emailed to you first for approval. That way you can respond appropriately or deal with it in another way. If you're in an environment where you have to kind of sell the blog concept, give them a reason of the why. Eco-friendly, easier to update, consistent updates, quick updates, all of those things are good reasons to have a blog. Don't be afraid to tell people why you're doing it. Keep posts up to date. This is particularly important with classroom blogs and school blogs. They quickly become irrelevant if there's no information on them. And remember, it doesn't have to always be earth-shattering news on there. Sometimes just a photo of an event is enough to excite parents and keep them involved and engaged and inform them of what's going on. Don't be afraid to do that. Add pictures to every post if you can. Photos are just a great window into what's going on in your school and your classroom. It's very valuable and a time saver for you. Oftentimes in that setting, adding a photo, it saves you many paragraphs of words describing what's going on. And it's just cool to see your kid in school doing something. Another thing that you can do on your blog that people underutilize is using polls or Google Forms or whatever it is. This is where your sign-ups for parent conferences can be. This is where you can get a sense of, are parents enjoying this or that, and you can really involve some voice in that. Allow students to participate in the blog. Maybe they write updates, maybe they post to it, they do things like that. You can do that with all social media, but blogging is a pretty safe way to do that because you can share their Google Docs, you can do whatever it is and keep it safe, secure for whatever is appropriate in your ecosystem. A couple last tips with blogging. You can install a mobile app for some blog platforms, not all. Blogger's platform mobile app just disappeared, so you can't do that right now. Hopefully it'll come back. It was pretty handy because you could do a fair amount of blogging from your phone or your mobile device. Other platforms do have mobile apps. So WordPress has it, a couple other blog platforms have it, Medium has it, things like that. So that's something that you can do. Make sure that you have an email subscription widget on your blog. We'll talk a little bit more about that and I'll provide some resources if people need it and how to do that. But you want that near the top so that people know that they can subscribe easily to that. Another thing that I would say about your blogger blogs in particular is there's this thing at the top of blogger blogs that says next blog. In your settings and format, and I will show you here, you can remove that, and you want to, because essentially what that does is if somebody's on your blog and they click next blog, it'll take them to whatever. It'll take them to Sven's House of Fun, and you just don't want to do that. It's not your fault, you're not responsible for it, but why take that risk? So make sure you follow the instructions that I've laid out here to remove that from your blog. Another thing that you can do on your Blogger blog and other blogs, if you have a WordPress blog or whatever it is you can embed a widget that shares your social media. So if you look at my blog, on the side I have a Twitter feed and it shows all of my tweets, and I have an Instagram feed that shows all of my Instagram. So that regardless of who you are and what platforms you're on, you can see what I'm doing on each of those things. And it's a really simple thing to do. I'll show you some samples, but if you want specifics, I'll show you in the one-on-ones or another way how to do that. But it's a really nice thing to do. It makes your blog platform very robust and useful for people. So your assignment in part 2, if you choose to do this, is to simply refresh your classroom blog or your school blog, or start a classroom blog or a school blog. Whatever makes sense for you, or some variation of that. If you decide that there's something that makes sense for you to focus on, please feel free to do that. This is a time to explore and play about with this platform. I am not requiring you to do this. So think about what makes sense for you. That's what you should do in this part. Educational blogging, part 3. If you're watching this, kudos to you, because this is a big leap. It was a big leap for me, and I still don't consider myself an expert at it at all. But educational blogging is that next level where you are looking for feedback, reflection, and really digging into the career and the philosophical and the educational and all the professional growth that you want to make regardless of your classroom, regardless of your school. This is for you. And it's really amazing. And it can be also very scary to take this leap. There's a couple of things I would advise you to do if this is what you want to do. First of all, do it. You won't regret it, I promise you. It's amazing, it's exceptional, it's the best learning that you can ever do, and it makes you a better you. I promise you that in every way, shape, and form. But here are some other tips that I would recommend. Number one, think about the educational bloggers that you follow, and what is it about them that you value? Are they real? Are they organic? Do they put up a lot of resources that you like? Think about those things that make them appealing to you, and then reflect on what that would look like from you. So for example, I follow George Couros. I like his posts. They're very short but thoughtful. They usually include a quote, which I really love because it helps me extend my learning beyond that. He usually involves some resources that he shares freely. I appreciate that. My personal blogging platform, I concentrate on video and reflect on what the impact is on school culture, and that's kind of my niche that I've fallen into. And that brings me to this point. If there's a niche that fits you, maybe it's literacy, maybe it's mathematics, maybe it's social studies, maybe it's student voice or educational leadership, or maybe it's ed tech or tech integration or whatever it is. If there's a niche that fits your soul, go with it. That could be the focus of your blog. Tip number three, your blog will evolve. It won't be what it was when you started it. Please don't do this. For everything, don't do this, please. If you went back to my very first posts on my blog, they were probably all over the place. Sometime I'll do that, but it's not the motivational boost I need right now. It wasn't until recently that I settled into my groove of really sharing what I'm doing on a daily basis, and with a concentration on transparency in my school district, and that's kind of how I'm using it right now. Number four, allow for organic life. Where I see people fall down is where they set this goal of I'm going to post every day and I'm just going to make it happen. And there's a value in getting in the habit of writing every day, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but don't feel beat up if you miss a day or a post or anything like that. Life happens. Just be organic and be real. That's the best advice I can give you on that. Tip number five, connect with things that you already do. So if you are a literacy teacher, for example, and you're working on conferring skills for a week, maybe your posts are around conferring and that you're continuing that reflection on it. You're not working on conferring all week and then writing posts about Google Translate. Think of things that you're already doing so that it's of value to you and continues to extend your learning, and I promise you it will be an amazing experience. You know, some things that here's some tricks that people have done to relate it to what they're doing. So if you take pictures and tweet pictures from your classroom during the week, maybe you go back to one of those pictures and dig in a little deeper on that, and you include the picture in the post. Or in my case, I make a lot of videos, and so I write about those videos and what they mean to the school and the culture and things like that. Or let's say that you worked really hard on some rubrics and you shared those rubrics out and you explain what's going on and all of those things. Make it something of value to you. As the folks at Teacher College would say, just get in the habit of writing. There's nothing wrong with that. Just put it out there. Just get in the habit of writing, and I promise you great things will happen. Okay, assignment for part 3. It could go a lot of different ways. You could create an educational blog if you want to. You don't have to, but if you wanted to, that's what you could do. You could take a very close look at some existing educational blogs, write down what you see in them, really dissect what's going on, and think about how that would bring value to what you're doing or what you're trying to do. Maybe you set a goal around educational blogging. Maybe you participate in some blog sharing, like the Two Writing Teachers blog. Every Tuesday they do a Slice of Life challenge, which is amazing, and you share a blog post on that platform and people write back and forth to you and talk about it, and the purpose is to get you writing. So take a look, see what makes sense for you in terms of designing an assignment for this. Jump in and reflect on it on the assignment document, and that's all you need to do. Later on, we're going to discuss some of the tools that you can use to connect other social media platforms to your blog. So there's ways that if I write a blog post, it automatically goes to my Twitter account, things like that. We'll talk about that later on in the course, but keep that in mind as you're going. I'll have resources and links below for things. Check it out. Enjoy Thanksgiving. I will see you on the other side. Thanks.